Hello everyone. From this video onwards, we will start out with the last unit topics. As I have already told in the class today that the last fifth unit carries three parts, uh, actually divided into three parts. First part is about compensation, second part is about grievance handling, and the last part is about performance appraisal systems. So we have three parts. So we'll start out with the first part, and in the first part we come across that we look into the compensation, and in the first topic we will be looking into is the objectives. Now actually, first let us try to understand what the compensation is about. What happens is that we can think of compensation from two angles. One from the side of the employee, the person who is working for the company, the other side from the organization. Now, from the point of view of the person who is working in the company or the employee side, if we take up, compensation is a very important part for the life of that employee. So it occupies a very important place. Why? Because it's the remuneration that an employee receives in a very basic or simple way or a simple sense. It's a remuneration or the payment what an employee receives for his or her contribution. In other words, the work or the services what that person do for the organization. And this remuneration or this payment helps that employee to achieve or attain a particular level of standard of living, and that standard of living will in turn provides a status for the person in the society. And if the standard of living and the status are elevated, there will be motivation among the employee for the work as well as for the organization, and that in turn will develop a loyalty towards the organization, a loyalty or commitment towards the work, and that in turn further in turn will help the employee to perform at higher levels. The productivity increases. So all these rests on the remuneration what the employee receives, right? So it's an important thing overall, an important part in the whole life or working career of the employee. So in that case, employees normally think of having better pays, better payment for their work, right? So that is the orientation what employees carry with them when they go to the work. But if you look into the other side, employer's side, for the employer, the compensation is a kind of administrative activity, and it is actually a very challenging task for any organizational HR people, because actually HR people try to maintain the payroll systems, administer the payment programs, payment policies in the organization. So it is a kind of challenge for them because there is an inherent conflict, a base conflict that normally occurs between the management and the employees. The previous category what we have what I have told in the previous slide. There's a conflict of interest. What is that interest? One side interest, the previous slide I have told that they normally look for a better pay, and that will because that will help them to stand out in the society and have a status in the society and make their living a better living. On the other hand, organizations consider it in a very different, or in fact in a very contrasting way, which normally or management of the organization will think of utilizing employees in such a way that they do not shell out higher money in terms of payments or in terms of compensation, as well as they could able to get better, best of the talents and motivated employees. So for many organization, compensation is a vital from that angle, because management is looking for saving money, whereas employees looking to have more money from the management. So both are in conflict in that point of view. So a better thing what might be considered is that for many organizations need to consider manage compensation as a vital uh, item, a vital factor, instrument through which they can attract and retain best employees and keep them motivated with their payments, so that you know, so that they can give their best to the company. So it's quite obvious they need to pay accordingly what the work is. So based on the payment, if the employee considers that yes, I am getting a bit better pay for the work what I am doing, then it's quite obvious that both will be in a position where employee might be contributing and management might be in turn benefiting the employee, as well as management is also getting the profits from the higher productivity. Right? So there is this both sides we come across. So what is the situation here is that compensation needs to be very carefully understood by the management, specifically the HR people, so that they can implement right compensation policies, administer better payroll programs in the organization. So what these can be, what is this compensation from that point of view, right? So one definition, very simple definition given by Gary Tesler, which tells that compensation means all forms of pay or rewards going to employees and arising from their employment. So it's not just work is done and for that work payment is done. Now there are various aspects involved actually. That's what the point comes here when this definition tells that it includes all forms of payments and rewards. It's not just work and the payment. There should be things which are more than, there are various things involved, not just the work and the payment. There are various other things. So all other aspects which can be considered as something which is kind of a reward to the employee. So all those aspects, if we sum up all those things, all those things which are related to the job, and that job is done, performed by the employees. So all some of all those rewards for the job related efforts that an employee puts, and also what and all the commitment levels, what and all the involvement level that the employee shows here, all that combined together forms a compensation. So it is not just a simple aspect there. If it is considered that yes, this is the work and the payment is done, if only that aspect is there, there might be further chances that the conflict, what we have, conflict of interest, what is being told in the previous slide, might arise. So it is something more than that. Simply not, it is not simply a payment for the work done. It is various aspects which are related to the job. All those things have to be rewarded, because employee brings not just his or her work to the company, they bring various other things, and they expect that they get rewarded for all the work what they do, all the efforts for all the time what they put for the job what they are assigned. So it refers, compensation refers to a whole range of financial, non-financial, things. So if we, that's what I said, if we think that yes, this is the work and this is the payment for the work, if it is only that aspect, then uh, the conflicts might be continuing. There won't be any proper what do you say, equilibrium between the employees and the management, employees delivery and the management's expectations, right? So that will be conflicting continuously. So it is not just that, various other things that comes into picture, all the time and effort. These are non-financial aspects. You need to consider employees, the effort, employees time that has been input, so that the employee can give his or her best to the organization. So it's a whole range of financial, non-financial aspects that need to be brought by the organization uh, for the employee, saying that yes, this is what you are getting for the work you are doing. So compensation refers to the whole range of all the aspects, financial and non-financial incentives or rewards received by the employee for the sake of his or her services or contribution to the organization. So compensation is all about getting in return what is given by the employee. Employee gives not just his work, so various other things. So company has to pay for those, all those things, right? So in that case, compensation is a broader concept which includes incentives, allowances, benefits, besides the basic salary. Now, why now for a successful compensation system, for a better success, better compensation system in enough to be considered as a better compensation system in the organization. So while drawing a compensation setup, a structure of compensation, organizations need to set goals, take it very strategically in its nature, and they have to set goals so that the kind of uh, situation what is being observed, what is observed in the previous slides, what we have told, like it's the interest of both the employees and the management, and it includes all the elements, not just financial elements. So to this to be matched, and the expected return or the performances that company comes across. So for that to happen, an organization or HR department or HR manager needs to set proper objectives. What might be the objectives which can help an organization to make sure that yes, these will help balance the employees' interests as well as organizations or management's expectations. Now, one objective they may set is that we can have a particular level of compensation structure in order to maintain salary equity among employees. Now, there are two aspects out here. Now there is one thing about equity is there is internal equity. The other aspect is we can have an external equity. Internal equity is that for everybody is getting the similar pay for the similar jobs in the organization, right? So for a salesperson uh, for salesperson A and the same job for the person B who is also a salesperson. So both the salesperson should have an equitable pay package. So if it is high and low, then again the problems start there. So one objective they need to set is that they can have an equitable salary that can be maintained among employees. Now this is one thing, internal equity. However, we also have external equity that needs to be maintained. That is about means if taking the example of a salesperson here again, salesperson A from company Z and salesperson B from company Y. So both should be at the similar level. If salesperson A in company Z is getting higher salary, salesperson B in company Y is getting lower salary, both will somewhere come across and get an idea, or if they get the information that their salaries are not same, then obviously the management which is paying lesser might be in a negative side from the salesperson B's point of view. So that person will be always ready to leave the job because he's not getting a proper compensation for the work what he or she is supposed to get. So these kind of things happen. Uh, Management might consider it in a different way. Management of company Z might think that that person, no, I'm paying very high, might be what Y is paying to salesperson B is might be a proper compensation. So it is better I also reduce the payment. So again, if these kind of things happen, then both will be in a problem situation. So a better thing to do is set an objective where there is salary equity. Then the other objective for a good salary administration setup is that look into the compensation from the point of view of employee motivation and retention. A good compensation system uh, obviously motivates employees, and it also facilitates their retention. It's quite obvious. If you feel that you are getting good payment in your company, you'll be motivated to work, no, at a higher level, as well as you are not much inclined or volatile to other company offers. You will normally think of, why should I go when I'm getting better payment in my company? So it's quite similar in that it goes in that fashion. So it helps the organization to retain the employee for a long time. So you can think of what do you say, controlling your attrition rates and improving your performance by way of a good compensations program, compensation structure. Sorry. Another objective that can be thought of is that company can think of having a good public and professional image for itself in the society. A company which obviously having a better payment system uh, will always have a positive image in the job market. People will be ready to join in that company where payments are good. It's For example, if you take up the situation where one company is paying consistently on day one of every month, and there is no question of delaying for years together, so people might think that, and other company in the similar industry might not be doing the same thing. So obviously employees might be motivated to get the job in that company where payment is done exactly on first of every month. So it's a kind of a positive image, and that aspect will normally create a positive, you can say, brand image, brand equity of the company in the society also. So even public in the, so, oh yeah, you are working in such company, they do good payments, you are in a good company, so it's fine. So that kind of statements you might here if you come across, if you work into a company of that nature, and if you come across uh, people, interaction with the people. Then another thing is a good compensation system will obviously adhere to the wage or employment laws and regulations which are there in the state or which are imposed by the government on time to time basis. So a good compensation system should address these things. It's a kind of a challenge for the management, for the HR people, right? So an objective they can set is, okay, let us meet the government requirements. Let us meet the laws which are there in the market now, right? So to meet that, you need to maintain a good compensation system or which is compensation system which suits those laws. Then another aspect is a good compensation system will obviously help an organization in keeping its right, what is a salary cost at a check. See, a good compensation system will always balance these things, like you are not giving, no, you are not overpaying the employee and you are not underpaying the employee. Your payment is on par with the work what is being done. That obviously have a good effect on the cost structure of your company, right? So no, without a good effective compensation system, compensation administration, employees could either be getting overpaid or be underpaid. Then another aspect is that you'll have a good improved industrial relations. See, what happens that a well designed or a transparent compensation uh, structure will obviously make the organization to prove its interest in the well-being of its employees. So employees will think that organization is a good organization. We should not have proper, or we should not take up things in such a way that there is a distance develops between the labor uh, employees and the management. So the relationships between employees and the management, or the top people and the employees, will be properly handled, can be properly handled through a proper compensation structure. So it thus helps improving the employer-employee relationships, right? So uh, these are the objectives which these are the objectives which help the compensation program. Uh, Setting these objectives will make the compensation program a successful compensation program. Right? So that's it, guys, for the present video. In the next video, we'll look into what will be the uh, components. So the next video topic will be the components of a compensation compensation structure. Right? So till the next video, bye bye.